Hey, somebody got to make some more blueberry pancakes. You did? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to the Professional Noticer.
To the Batmobile. Let's go.
Here, you and I will use common sense and all the wisdom we can muster to move beyond what is true and go all the way to the truth.
During our lifetime, we travel many roads.
With actual listeners in more than 100 countries, I am the Professional Noticer. Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thank you for making me a part of your week. As the Professional Noticer, it's my job to professionally notice some things for you, and of course, nothing's off limits. So whatever your questions are, whatever you want to know, business, spiritual issues, popular culture, we even tackle the odd conundrum like, and tell me, is this odd? What has 4 letters, occasionally has 12 letters, always has 6 letters, but never has 5 letters? Do you know? Look, my purpose here today, and with every show we do, is to play the part of a best friend or a coach. I want to help you live the life you would live if all your toughest questions were answered. The Professional Noticer is sponsored this week by GrowingDeer.com. And if you already watch Growing Deer episodes or you regularly visit the GrowingDeer.com website, you already know why I'm a fan. The boys, Polly, we all watch this show. This is just an awesome show. It's a time our family can be together, to be with the Woods family. Their weekly show arrives at my email inbox every Monday morning. And Dr. Grant Woods is a wildlife biologist. And so this is about so much more than hunting. This is the whole gamut of taking care of land and building land that you can have as habitat for wildlife. It's just a great show. He hosts the program, and these subjects, like I say, this goes from scientific tips about nutrition to providing the right crops for deer to reach their antler potential, and there's just to me, the whole thing is fascinating. The whole deal about it, just predators, prescription fire. You can find out the answers to a lot of things that go on in the news, and you go, oh, why are they doing this and not doing what is proven? And it's just, I've learned just a ton. I've learned a ton from GrowingDeer.com. And, this is, like I say, it's one that our family likes, because Dr. Grant's wife, Tracy, as well as their daughters, Riley and Ray, they're making appearances on the show. And then there's the guys, the interns, and there's Daniel and Clay and the guys that work there. It is an amazing, amazing story week after week after week. So whether you're an outdoor person or not, certainly you know an outdoor person. So turn them on to growingdeer.com and you go check it out too, okay? That's growingdeer.com. Okay, observations and answers. What we do here, I deliver the observations and you provide the questions. Remember, the quality of your answers can only be determined by the quality of your questions. Would love to field a question from you. Write me. The email is theprofessionalnoticer@andyandrews.com. And this week with the questions, we're going to do something different. Matt and I have, for a while now, we've gotten some very short questions that we've just kind of categorized. You know, they've just been tossed into a categorized box because we didn't have the vocal stuff. They weren't very long, and so we thought, now that we've categorized some of these, why don't we just do several shows in a row with some of these questions? Just answer a bunch of these questions very quickly. And this first one is, I don't know, Matt, how I would put it. I don't know if I'd put it as like the history of my family or my family life, or it seems like most of these, I'm looking at these, it seems like most of them are like, what was it like kind of questions. And so anyway, let's just let's get started here. Okay. The first one that I thought this was kind of funny. It says, what do you remember about the houses you lived in as a kid, and which one did you like the best? We did actually move around a fair amount. Now, this was not, when I talk to somebody who moved around a lot when they were growing up, I always think, okay, your parents were in the military or the ministry, one or the other. Because my dad was a minister, and so while we weren't moving around constantly, we did move a fair amount. I remember our first house, or the first house, let's say the first house I remember was in Birmingham, and it had this this big front porch that was screened in. And I was not 5 years old. We left there when I was 5. But I do remember there were some feral cats that got into this house, and one of the big ones got caught somehow in the screened in porch. And I remember watching my dad and my Uncle Norse, who's not really my uncle, he was just like my dad's best friend. But I remember watching them get a landing net, a fishing net, and trying to catch that cat. And I don't really know what happened to the cat, but it was like hours watching my dad and Uncle Norris get taped up by my mother and Aunt Martha. I mean, that cat ate their lunch. I mean, but I remember that. I remember then we moved to Montgomery, and I remember catching tadpoles with Lisa Gunnels. Lisa was a very cute little girl, and when you find a woman who will catch tadpoles with you, that's something very special. Not really about the house, I guess, but something I remember about that time in my life. And do you know that Lisa Gunnels grew up to marry one of my best friends from high school when I lived in Birmingham? So she is Lisa Steed now. She married Wade Steed. I wonder if Lisa and Wade catch tadpoles together. I just wonder if Wade was able to do that with Lisa as they grew older. Then Dothan. Now, when I think of growing up, and when I write about growing up, it's usually Dothan. That's kind of what I'm thinking, because we were there third grade through the ninth grade, and so and I think of that now. Whoever wrote this question said the houses. Okay, I would guess that my favorite house we lived in growing up was the one we lived in Columbus, Mississippi, because it had a pond in the back. And, I like to fish, and so had a pond, right? We lived in one in Birmingham that the only thing I remember about that is mowing the yard. It was on the side of a mountain. But Dothan is just and it's still, this is just a great place. I mean, if you look at Dothan today, they just have it going on. I mean, they just do. There's, economically with the diversity and the way people get along in town, it's a great place. But occasionally I go over there and I'll drive by that old house. And Matt, you know what I think? You know what I remember about that house? The front bedroom next to the front door, or the window next to the front door, was my bedroom. And right next to that window, the air conditioning and heating vents came out of the floor. And I was in the fourth grade, which was Mrs. Glanton's class. I loved Mrs. Glanton. And I got a bad mark on a paper, like an F. I mean, it was an F. And I don't remember I don't remember the subject. I don't remember, but I do remember the big F on the paper in red. And I took that home and I lifted out the vent thing, and I stuck my arm way down in there, and I put that paper way down in there. And every now and then, I'll go through Dothan, and I drive by that house, and I think, I wonder if that paper is still there. Bob Woodall. Bob Woodall is my agent. Bob Woodall, this is, call Bob. He's the air conditioning guy in the whole Dothan area. I mean, he's the guy. And so at some point, I'm going to get Bob to go in there and say, hey, we need to check some air conditioning stuff and get my F paper back for me. I think Bob would probably do that. Bob, if you're listening, you probably had a few F papers yourself, my friend. So Bob was, I've still got a bunch of friends from Dothan, but Bob and I keep up with each other a good bit. Okay, let's see. What another one? What did you have as a child that kids today don't have? Well, the ability to ride a bicycle without a helmet. How about that? I had a bicycle the kids today don't have. I had a beautiful banana seat bicycle with tiger stripes and the sissy handlebars. There's the spider handlebars, the big sissy bar in the back, and this was an awesome bicycle. So that's one thing, and of course I had the ability to ride it without a helmet. Let's see. Has anything ever happened at a family wedding that you'll never forget? I hadn't been to a ton of family weddings, but the two family weddings that I do remember, one when I was a little bitty guy and one when I was like an older smart aleck. I do remember, like when I was a little bitty guy, I was the ring bearer for Tyler and Marianne's wedding. You know Tyler and Marianne, right? Okay. And I was the ring bearer for their wedding. So I would have been, I've seen pictures of this. I must have been 5. Okay. And after they got married and after they go to the reception is there in the fellowship hall at the church, they were driving somewhere to go on their honeymoon. And so they went downstairs to change clothes. Well, nobody told me not to go. So I just followed them down there. And I have this clear picture of Tyler and Marianne in this big room, and they had their suitcases open, and they turned their backs on each other and changed clothes to go in the car. I didn't think it was funny then. I was just kind of talking to both of them while they're dressing. And but I told them that recently, and they thought it was very funny. The other thing, a family wedding thing. Oh, when my sister got married. Now, Steve. You're right. My brother-in-law, Steve. Steve is from Hartselle, Alabama. And and so when I first met Steve, and he says, we talked today, and I said, I know where are you from? And he said, I'm from Hartselle. And I said, oh, Hartselle? He said, no, Hartselle. I said, gosh, I always pronounced it Hartselle. And I'm just kind of messing with him, right? And so later, I found out that Steve gets in the car with my sister and says, I can't believe your brother's like telling me how to pronounce the name of my own hometown. And, of course, my sister's probably just rolling her eyes going, yeah, I can believe you did it. But in any case, now they date. We go through months and months. Now they're going to get married. All right, they're going to get married. And so at the wedding was the first time I ever met Steve's mother. And so she's sitting on this stool thing in the back of the room at the reception, and we're sitting around talking. And so hi, how are you? I'm talking to her, and I said, I said, now, tell me again where you're from. And she said, I'm from Hartselle. And I said, that is very curious. Can you say that one more time? She said, Hartselle? I said, yeah, that is very curious to me. I said, because, Steve pronounces it Hartselle. She said, what? I said, yeah, every time I've talked to Steve, he has pronounced it Hartselle. So I'm just curious that you would pronounce it Hartselle, which is, of course, is the correct way to pronounce it. But and I've never wanted to say anything to him, but it sounds kind of weird, doesn't it, that he would call it Hartselle? And so then, I find out much later that she's like all over him. What in the world are you doing? And she's like, Mom, I did not. So anyway, there's my family wedding story. I still think that's pretty funny. Let's see. Which family member has been my greatest coach in life? And how have they coached you? What has made them good at it? If we're not talking about immediate family, okay? Because I would, Polly and I are back and forth all the time, but this seems like family member, you know what I'm saying? And I would go back to those two people who turned their backs on each other and dressed. Tyler and Mary Ann. They live up in Roswell, Georgia. And to this day, these guys are just incredible life coaches for me, for Polly, for the boys. Some of the funniest people that I know. I've dedicated it, I think, a couple of books to them. I love Tyler and Miriam, but they are the ones. Okay, let's see. I got three more here. What are your favorite stories that a grandparent told? Man, I can tell you, this is horrible, but I can tell you one. My grandmother, May, told us the story. I've never forgotten this. I have no idea who she was talking about. But I'm sure it was in and around Jackson, Alabama, because that's where she lived her whole life, right? But there was some guy, some old man that died, and he was so mean. Everybody said this guy was mean. I mean, it was just horrible mean. And two things that my grandmother told me, and she swore this was the truth. She said that, number one, his kids told the funeral people to bury him face down so that if he woke up, he'd be scratching the right way. And the other one was that they told the funeral people to bore holes in the casket so the worms would get him faster. Are you kidding me? But I mean, I told me that when I was like 7 years old. I was like, yeah, thank you and good night, pleasant dreams. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget. So that's a mean person, man. Let's see. If you can know anything about your family history or about a relative who has passed away, what would you want to know? See, there's so much I don't know about my family history because my dad was 44 when he died. My mom was 42. And more importantly, I was just like 19. And so, when you're 19, you hadn't asked anything. You don't care about anything at that point. And now there's so much that I would really like to know. I am really curious about my family tree on my mother's side because there's my mother's biological mother died when my mom was very small. And then granddaddy, married Nana. And there's this whole family, but there's that other side, that family that I'm very curious about. The last name was Law. And, I tell the story of Joshua Chamberlain and the 20th Maine, and they were charged by the 15th and 47th Alabama. There's a couple of Law, guys whose last name is Law that were in that. I just wonder, if I had some great grandfather that was back then trying to screw up the story that I would tell one day. By trying to beat the guy. And there he is right there. There's Chamberlain right there. Wish I could ask him, but it's just a painting. But I would really like to know about that part of my family. And then here's, it says, this is an odd question. And I can say that because there's no name on it. We just, put it in a box. It says, think of a relative that has passed away. What would they be doing right now if they were with you? Well, I haven't had many relatives pass away. So, let's just say my dad, though. Okay. I think that if my dad were with me right now, he would probably be saying, holy crap, I've been dead for 30 years. And how did I show up here? I think that's probably what he'd say. Something like that, like, wow. Now, what is this? Yes, it's a cell phone, Daddy. I don't know. I'm obviously being silly, but I think if my parents were here, the first thing they'd be doing is watching the boys. I got to, raised our children. My boys they never knew either grandfather, not Polly's dad or mine. And just we're very grateful they knew Patsy, mom, Polly's mom, for a long time. But a lot of times during the boys' lives, I've watched them, and I've wished that my parents could have known them. And I wish my parents could have known Polly, because she never knew them, they never knew her. But fortunately, we run into a lot of people that knew my parents, and they have filled in Polly on a lot of stuff. They filled me in on a lot of stuff. So, that's it. Those are great questions. And I really, really appreciate that. Hey, here's the thought. I know you can use Google to find instructions for building a tree house, or you could kind of find the difference very quickly in a crescent wrench and an Allen wrench. But where would you seek wisdom? Because there's a difference in knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is going to help you find the blueprints or the schematics for some home construction stuff. But wisdom is going to tell you if you're using the right wrench. And if you're not, and you're high up in a tree, it might not be a good thing. Because knowledge without wisdom to apply that knowledge in the proper way can be dangerous. So allow me to suggest wisdomharbor.com. That's wisdom, Harbour. That's harbor with an O-U-R. And go there now and be welcomed by a friend of yours. And he'll look a lot like me. And I will set you up with a free 5-minute guided tour. And then become a member of Wisdom Harbor. You guys, it's only $17 a month. $17 a month. Do it for your family, your business, your schools. It's wisdomharbor.com. And I am the professional noticer. Ladies and gentlemen, if you appreciate this podcast, we certainly appreciate you appreciating it, and we would appreciate you appreciating it in the way that you would go to iTunes and give us a nice review. We'd really appreciate that. You can only do it one time, of course, so if you've already done it, you're done. But if you haven't, come on, help us out here. I would really appreciate that. And I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing the mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, smile while you talk. Shake hands with the kids you meet. Make sure you have an answer to the question, why do we cook bacon and bake cookies? So till next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Dry cleaning provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by Tech Technological Logic Company. At Tech Technological Logic Company, we have a hard time telling you exactly what it is that we do. Our cloud-based application programming interface connects hundreds of hybrid apps through our proprietary virtual machine and brings them into a single integrated development environment. In no time, you'll be developing new versions of the apps you already have, but with that twist that only you could imagine. It's like filling in a coloring book made from the most advanced relations database management system on the market. Head on over to our website today or download our app and make your commitment to us now. For only 2% of a Bitcoin per 2 weeks and 3 days, you can put yourself in charge of reconfiguring the applications that are holding you and all your smart technology back. That's Tech Technological Logic Company from Simi Valley. Visit our server today.